This is Nathan. We're just getting ready for a time of humor, excitement, and analysis. So why don't you get the whole family together and join us for another episode of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
We've talked about this before on air, and I think I cut it then.
Yeah.
Because it was a bad take.
Yeah.
That was the Drew episode. One of the two. I know, because I have the clip cut out.
And you edit them.
Uh-huh. Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we are here this week to talk about episode 340, Pokenberry Falls, RFD, Part 1.
Boy, howdy. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, we're here. And
I like it.
this is a good episode, I think. I enjoyed it. It's, it's obviously a Part 1, so,
Yeah.
and it feels very much like that.
Yeah. These final 4 episodes are like the reason I pushed for doing this.
I have not much memory because of this part of the show, because this was like too serious for me when I was a kid to want to listen to it, because I was like, oh, like it doesn't have a happy ending, so like I don't really want it.
Is it not a happy ending, Andrew?
I don't remember, so we'll have to find out.
Time will tell, folks. It certainly will. This episode first aired January 6th of 1996, which is nearly a year after The Preacher's Kid that we covered last week.
Yeah, and he graduated seminary. That whole timeline situation is tough.
We'll talk about it. It's an episode written by Paul McCusker, directed by Phil Lawler, the classic duo. And it is track 11 on album 26, Back on the Air.
Yeah, it was a pretty large jump in the future from the last episode we covered. I mean, you said how many albums?
3 albums? It's a full year.
Yeah.
In out of showtime.
Mm-hmm. And that was like Darkness Before
I was going to say,
Dawn.
Blackguard happened in between.
Yeah.
Because we were setting up for Darkness Before, or all the Blackguard stuff when we were talking about the last episode, because it was on the Changing Times, and now we are.
Which is crazy.
Now we are
That's so cool that has worked out with something that we've also covered. I didn't think about that when we were planning for it.
It's a really rich era of the show.
Yeah.
Because we have Blackguard, we have Search for Wit, we've got the end of the Barclays, we've got Eugene and Katrina.
Yeah. They were just firing up
everything
all
with like Jack and Jason.
Oh,
like
such a good dynamic.
Yeah, it's a good sweet spot. I like it a lot.
Make Odyssey great again.
It's very much like a changing of the guard in a lot of ways.
Well,
because this is like the end of Odyssey's first family.
Yeah. We'll get into it, how I feel about this family and the family dynamic on the show, because do we have any actors or? Yeah,
so we got a lot here, because we've got a bunch of new characters. So our big one, we have Howard Morris coming in to play Ellis Birch, and the clown at Burger World.
That one checks out.
So Howard Morris is most famous for being Ernest T. Bass on the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh, okay.
And he also was the voice of Gopher in Winnie the Pooh.
Wow, they really.
It's a well they keep going back to.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Because all those actors be friends.
And they're all Christians.
Or, at least
comfortable taking Christians' money. Me too. I am very comfortable taking Christians' money.
Join our Patreon.
Yeah.
He also was... he also voiced Jughead in all of the early Archie series.
Oh, okay. I never saw that.
Yeah.
Did you?
Nope, I haven't watched any Archie, including whatever the current
Riverdale?
one is, Riverdale or
Yeah, I've
Sabrina.
seen-
Well, there's a couple Archie series going on right now, right?
Well, is Sabrina the Teenage Witch a part of that?
That is an Archie comic. Like that's
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know if
'Cause
those are tied together in
Yeah,
the same
I don't
universe across Netflix and like CW.
right. Yeah. I don't know how all that pans out, but it's he was Jughead, and also so that this will this will maybe shed a little bit light onto him playing Mr. Clown. He was the voice of the Hamburglar on McDonaldland, the McDonald's TV series.
Interesting.
So
We have the Hamburglar voicing the. Is
Yeah.
that what came first, the chicken or the egg in this situation?
the Hamburglar came first.
No. I'm saying, why is he on the show? To be the clown or to be Ellis Birch?
Yo, he's definitely on to be Ellis Birch. But then they were like, oh, what else could we have him do? Why don't we have him play the mascot at Burger World, a fast food joint that continues into the future of the show but has not existed up till this point?
Oh, that's worth noting. That's interesting.
And so Ellis Birch, Ernest T. Bass.
I didn't realize, because Burger World is talked about pretty affectionately in the future. George Barkley does not like it.
No, he does not. Yeah. So right. So he's famous for playing Ernest T. Bass. He is cast as a character named Ellis Birch. Almost the same. And then he also, at the time, was voicing the Hamburglar, and they cast him as Mr. Clown. So
Stupendous.
there's all that. And there's going to be a larger... Well, I mean, because we're covering him right now, we can get into the larger Andy Griffith Show thing. Mm-hmm. So this episode is called Pokenberry Falls RFD. Mm-hmm. The RFD never addressed.
What does that mean?
So here's the story. It's a riff on two different things. So Pokenberry Falls is a riff on Bedford Falls.
Okay.
Which is the location that It's a Wonderful Life takes place in. Oh. And we will get into everything It's a Wonderful Life in 2 episodes. I can't unpack it now, but there's a lot there.
Okay.
So that's where the Falls part comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is a spin-off of the Andy Griffith Show called Mayberry RFD.
What does the RFD stand for in that situation?
Great question.
Is that Reverend?
Let me look this up. No, I don't believe so. Oh, great. Rural Free Delivery.
Is that?
It's nothing. It's literally nothing. They just tacked it on the end of here because they were like, haha, references. We've got someone from the Andy Griffith Show on. And yeah.
For the show for kids.
Right. Well, and apparently, so the according to the official guide, the town they were originally moving to was going to be called Dry Point.
Wow.
No idea why. They explained that
dry.
Not at all. And then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna call it Bedford Falls because It's a Wonderful Life." And then Chuck Bolte, voice of George and EP on the show, could not remember the name Bedford Falls and yelled out Pokenberry Falls or whatever it's called during a meeting about the show.
And so that's how it got its name?
So that is, according to the official guide, how it got its name. And then at that point, they hired Howard Morris and were like, oh, we already have Barry in the title. Let's just throw in RFD as a nod to him. And we'll also put in a burger joint so that he can be a McDonald's character in Odyssey.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot.
So there is the context on both the name of the episode, the name of the town, and the first of a few cast members.
That is some very strong. Is that confirmed from the guide or is that headcanon?
Is what
you were saying? Like,
so
the reasoning for the naming and all of that.
So the Mayberry RFD is just speculation on my part.
Okay.
Of like, where did RFD come from? Oh, Mayberry RFD is an Andy Griffith thing.
And RFD doesn't mean anything. Essentially, it's
right.
So the only reason it'd be there.
Right. It doesn't. Right. It doesn't mean because that's what sent me down the rabbit hole. Is going like, wait, why is the title of this episode Pokenberry Falls RFD? They never say anything about RFD. What is that about? And so Googling around for RFD and finding, oh, there's Mayberry RFD, which is Andy Griffith, and going like, this show loves to reference Andy Griffith. They have an actor from Andy Griffith playing on it, playing a character who has the same initials as the character that he played in Andy Griffith.
Do you think if I watch that show, I'll appreciate Odyssey as a whole more?
Maybe. Who knows?
The only one way to find out.
Yeah. Additionally, we have
to be for me taking over the Twitter and live tweeting my feelings about the Andy Griffith show.
Bring it on, man. Make it your own. We have Joan Gerber is playing Vivian Birch in this episode.
Okay.
We've talked about her extremely recently, as in last episode, because she played Mrs. Erskine.
Yep.
And also Mabel and Miss Barfield, which we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, and also... Wait, did we talk about the fact that she sounds like the person from the Barkley Family summer vacation one, where they get stranded in the middle of nowhere? I don't know if you remember that episode.
I don't, but it wouldn't surprise me if she was in it.
Oh, okay. I listened to that episode a lot, and her voice sounds essentially the same. So I suppose I could just check the wiki. But
yeah. I'm not uber familiar with that one offhand, so I'm sorry I don't have more. Joan Gerber,
Family Vacation Part 2. Yep, she's in it.
There you go. She's played a lot of different characters in Odyssey. Or I guess not a lot. She's played 14 different characters.
Yeah.
Been in 15 different episodes.
Wow. Really gets around.
Yep. Speaking of getting around, Amy Birch is played by Alicia Anderson.
Oh boy.
And
she sounds like really hot. And I looked her up, and she is very beautiful.
There you go. And she has no other Odyssey credits to her name, nor does she have an IMDb.
Nope.
So,
nope.
This is it. She came in for 2 episodes to play Amy Birch, and Andrew maybe found her on Google Images.
Yeah, I tried. I wanted to know.
We also have, rounding out our new cast for this episode, Pete Renaday playing Owen Birch, who... So in this episode he's playing the guy who is like kind of, we hear in the background, kind of going nuts and destroying the church. Mm-hmm. Pete Renaday also played Mr. Sneed, a man famous for like going mad and destroying stuff in the Black Veil episodes.
Yeah, wow.
So apparently that's his thing. Yeah, I don't know. He's been in 60 episodes of Odyssey, mostly playing like one-off characters and stuff, but he's got quite a few. He also has like 150 IMDb credits for a lot of like video games, small voiceover roles. His only like big recurring one that I will draw attention to is that he was in the like 80s, 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles playing Splinter.
Oh. Who's Splinter?
Splinter is the like rat who raised them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because
he's there, and he's their trainer,
right?
He's the Yoda.
Yes. He's the stick. Because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is just like a parody of Daredevil, and the guy who trains Daredevil is named Stick. Okay. So the guy who trains the Ninja Turtles is named Splinter.
Wow, this is all completely new information
to
me.
The villains
I didn't realize
in Daredevil are the hand.
Yeah.
They are the foot in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Wow.
Yeah.
I I mean, I can't be the only one who hasn't made these connection before, because I'm very aware of like the existence of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and mostly in the fact that they stole the names of classical artists.
Right. Well, there's that as well. Which is not a Daredevil riff. That's just a classical artist riff.
Yeah.
Riff.
A rift in my heart.
And that is all I have context-wise. All I have, I say. That's so much context.
just like a half gallon of milk worth of context.
Yeah. All right.
Promo?
I think it's promo time.
Promo.
Let's see how Adventures in Odyssey promoted this episode.
It's a moment of decision for the Barkley family on the next Adventure in Odyssey. Everybody's voting that George will take the pastor job at the local community church. But what about that offer from a small New England town called Pokenberry Falls? Will the Barkleys leave Odyssey for good? Learn more next time on Adventures in Odyssey.
That was very gloomy.
It is. I mean, it's the end of an era. Like, there's weight to these episodes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, wow. Yeah, it gives me very much, like, early 2000s, like, ABC Family drama vibes. I don't know, like, Seventh Heaven and, like, all those old shows that I never really, was old enough to understand, but I was, like, I guess emotionally aware enough to know that sad things were happening a lot, and it sounded like that.
Yeah.
And it was always, like, family goes, and kids have to deal with the temptations of outside, drugs and whatever, which we'll get into it.
Oh, we will. Probably more next episode, but at least a little bit this one.
We can stick our toes in.
So yeah, the episode begins with a Chris intro and then a teaser that was extremely nostalgic for me. I was like, oh boy, why am I so attached to this teaser?
I can't say that it had the same impact for me, but yeah, I get that.
Me.
I mean, the teaser for Snow Day, that's like, I could have that played at my funeral, honestly. This is one of the things that Andrew loved most in this world.
Yeah. And then we jump in with one of the best Odyssey framing devices, which is the Barkleys are not filming something. No, they're making an audio recording to keep their memory.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Do they have a microphone?
Yeah.
They must.
There's like this just tape recorder.
Yeah.
And like, as much as I just kind of crapped on it, for the record, I do have a cassette of my brother and I talking when we are like 2 and 4.
Oh, yeah, no.
That my parents recorded because we didn't have a video camera, but we did have a cassette recorder.
Me and my sister made like home videos on my grandma's, she had an Apple computer, so that had photo booth, and we were like all about the filters and everything, because we would like do it in elementary school too. And so like there are some really old videos of me and her just like wrestling and on vacation in like my grandmother's basement and stuff like that, and it's really fun. It's really cute. Very, very Good Luck Charlie-esque. Very nice. Makes me feel good.
Yeah. And so they're making an audio documentary for Stuart, who is 1.
Yeah.
So here, okay, all right.
Timeline issues.
Let's do it here. So this episode begins like once we actually jump into the episode, it begins with George graduating from seminary.
Yeah, they're telling the story. Yeah.
Right. So Stuart is 1.
Mm-hmm. Stuart is born while George is in seminary.
Correct.
When we don't know how far he's in.
So right. So here's the thing. The series begins with Mary announcing to the family that she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
We can assume that she's like 3 months into the pregnancy because that's usually when you announce that sort of thing.
I mean, for family, it might be a little bit earlier, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can extend it just for
We'll
generosity's
say
sake.
2 months.
Sure. So there's 7 months. So from when George starts pregnancy,
George is pregnant. Plot twist.
from when George starts seminary to when Stuart is born, we can call 7 months.
Yeah.
Half a year and change. And that's
Yeah.
and that is until Unto Us a Child is Born. Christmas episode. So Stuart's born on Christmas.
Yes.
We then are so he is now a year old.
Yeah, so it's a year after that.
Right. So that's what I was going to say is so we can assume that Odyssey time is real time in this instance.
Yes.
Because he is a year old and this episode is airing a little over a year after Unto Us.
Meaning George graduated seminary in 2 years.
Correct. Like,
Is that normal though?
so here's my thing. My note just says, wait, so George graduated seminary in like 2 years max. Is that normal?
Yeah. I can't tell if that's a master's or if in my head it was always like a doctorate thing, but seminary might just be a master's.
It might just be a two-year program.
I think we can Google this.
No, I mean we'll just call biblical correspondent Drew Huber.
Drew, what do you have to say?
Drew, you're on the pod.
Call him up.
He's not having lunch with his family. It's fine.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice message.
All right. We tried, folks. There's no way to know.
There's no way.
That's it. We just have the it can't be known. It's unknowable. Seminary just lasts
It's
an
one
amount
of
of
the
time.
mysteries of God.
Yeah. All right. So
George graduates from
no.
seminary.
So I want to jump back to the framing device now that we've gotten that whole thing out.
Okay.
Out of the way. No, because we have to talk about a couple things. One, just the fun of just the family dynamic being really good.
Yes.
And Jimmy being like,
Stupendous.
them explaining that like, hey, this is like like you're not gonna remember this, but we're recording this so that you can look back at it sometime in the future. And Jimmy's like, or you just know which cassette to record over.
Yeah,
Which I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
good joke.
Yeah, whenever you go to record, this will be the first one you pick.
Yep.
Ooh, back in the day when you had to record over stuff.
Yeah. Nowadays, you just delete it and you never look at it again. And sometimes you lose important audio files that way.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's never happened to me. This is a completely strange thing and out of the blue that you are bringing up.
Yeah, exactly. They reference Pokenberry Falls as it's in New England.
Yep. Because that's not a big area of, northern New York is also New England. There's
love
like 8 states there.
I love their lack of wanting to like tie down any place to a location. Like it's like Odyssey is just in the Midwest.
Yep. It's in Illinois, kind of. It's
Maybe.
kind of in this like weird make-believe state.
Yeah.
That is Illinois. Alternate reality where Illinois is not real.
Yeah, I mean, it might be Illinois. I don't know. That's our running theory on the show, but it has never been addressed.
No, and
Sometimes they go to specific states. Sometimes they go to D.C. Sometimes they go to the Four Corners.
and Alaska.
And California.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's just like New England,
Yeah.
the Midwest.
Africa.
And so, yeah, it's just the good old like characters recounting a story as like the narrative device is we're going to get transported back into the story, but the characters get to like interrupt and be like, no, that's not what happened. It actually went like this, like that whole thing, which is just always fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
Because George is like, oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just saying their family dynamic is so good because these voice actors have been working together for so long. Like, you know, in all of the sense where it feels emotional.
Wait a second. Drew's calling back.
Oh.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Hey, We had a seminary question, and we decided to call you. You're on the air of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Oh, great. Okay.
How long does seminary last?
Depends on what specific degree you get.
What about just pastoral seminary?
What did he say? I'm sorry.
He said if you're trying to be a pastor and don't have previous Bible college.
You probably get an MDiv, which is probably 4 years if you're full-time, up to 7, 8, 9 if you're part-time. Depends on how many classes you take. But definitely no earlier than 3, and that's if you're going, really hard.
Okay. Good to know. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Well, happy to help.
Yeah, enjoy your lunch with your parents.
Love you.
Hey, thanks. Love you too, Andrew.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
I don't know if how that's gonna come out, but that was delightful.
Yeah, George maybe cut some corners.
Yeah. Also, I'm more qualified to be a pastor than George Barkley is at this point. Anybody want to join my church? We don't meet because it's not safe to meet right now.
Woo woo! Represent. We are on Zoom.
Yeah. Zoom into me talking about God in my bedroom. Once a week for 30 minutes.
There you go. Yeah. Anyways, so George's graduation starts with, so they try to jump into the story with George being like, it all started with a mysterious postcard, and everyone in the family's like, no, it didn't. It started when you graduated.
Yeah.
And
More
like,
specifically, when you went to Burger World after you graduated.
Right.
Of which George really talks a lot of crap on.
He really
Burger
does.
World.
I guess Paul McCusker had an axe to grind against fast food.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's against God's will. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure.
Exploits cheap labor, I suppose.
Yeah, which, conservatives don't traditionally care about.
No.
Other side of the glass proved slightly differently. Maybe they care a bit.
Well, only when it's convenient.
Yeah. Which fast food always is.
Yeah. Amen.
So it's the ceremony, and everyone's cheering George on. As he graduates. This is per the official guide, because I couldn't hear this, but there are apparently a lot of references to people, the other graduates in his class.
Yeah.
Are William Bailey, Ralph Emerson, who's a famous writer, Ralph Waldo Emerson. We've got William Bailey's a painter. Philip Glassboro is a producer for Focus.
Oh.
Clive Lewis, which is C.S. Lewis's first name. J.B. Phillips, who's a guy who translates the Bible. It was just Focus was the writing
Names
team was
we're gonna put in
we'll
the
just
background.
name drop a bunch of random people in the background because it would be funny. And sure.
I mean, I'm here for it. It's kind of funny. Well, it's more of a joke for them than it is for anybody else.
Yeah, no,
I think is
absolutely.
really
Yeah,
cool.
I like little it's not even like an Easter egg, just a fun nod.
Is that the hierarchy? It goes Easter eggs and then nod.
Yeah.
And then what's below nod? Hint?
Yeah, possibly. Subtext? Illusion.
A mirage, perhaps.
No, not illusion. Illusion.
Oh!
So they then go to Burger World, which George hates.
Yeah, despises, and he's like, oh, we went because, Stuart likes Burger World, and there's lots of bright colors and everything, and George is like, oh yeah, he was having a great time because he wasn't eating the food, and we were choking down these greasy burgers.
I know, it's so much
and
aggression.
He's so ungrateful, and it's my family, I get it, the first joke, it was okay, making fun of the fact that his family treated him to fast food, but also, he probably ended up paying for it anyway, so why?
Yeah, and so it just, right, the whole thing is like they're all teasing George in a way that's really fun
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And the joke is that like Stuart, like they interrupt the telling of it to tell Stuart how much he used to love Burger World because there is a clown there. And I was just like, I was going like, why in the world does this fast food place have a clown? And then I remembered like, oh wait, no. That's actually like Ronald McDonald exists.
Was he always in the store?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I was just like, it's weird that this fast food restaurant has a clown mascot. And then I remembered that like Ronald is a clown.
Yeah, he really is.
He almost feels more like a mime.
He doesn't talk much.
But they've also really pulled back on the Ronald McDonald imagery over the last few years.
He is terrifying.
Like, I think he was more prominent when I was a child. He has faded out of existence almost entirely.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen a Ronald McDonald in the ad in 3 or 4 years at least.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Are we just moving into a post-clown world? Like, is that one of those things that this age of humanity is leaving behind? I'm okay with it as somebody who's afraid of clowns.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So if you want to freak me out, send me a clown in the P.O. box.
Yeah, that's really what we need. Or just Photoshop Andrew to look like a clown.
I mean, if you do that and then tweet at me, I will definitely probably like it because you put effort into it.
You might even get a retweet.
Oh, my lofty 8 followers on Twitter. And the funny thing is, they're mostly only from here because I don't promote it anywhere else. And I don't really participate in Twitter that much in general, so.
Yeah. All right. So George also reveals that that he found out via Tom that he's going to be recommended to be the full-time pastor.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, that's so exciting! Like,
regular
congratulations."
paychecks,
right? And he's like, "Look, just so we're clear, like, even if they say yes, I'm gonna be praying long and hard. Like, I'm not just throwing myself into this." And then,
you sound like such a pastor.
I know, and they're having this serious conversation, and there is clown music in the background.
Yeah, well, I mean, we forget that the seed introduced, there's circus music, and it's just the clown yelling, "Welcome to Burger World!" And it's, it's a powerful image in my head, I will say that.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
Perhaps the clown is the reason I didn't re-listen to this episode much.
Hey, you never know. So they and the other thing that he's talking about is that Tom had suggested they take some time away to
decompress.
Just take some time off, enjoy themselves, he just graduated seminary,
in 10 years of work in 2 years.
Right.
He must be exhausted.
Exactly. And so, then the, right.
Guy learned Hebrew in a week.
So Ellis Birch jumps in, and there's a problem, which is that he's being voiced by the same guy who voices the clown.
Yes.
And we previously had the clown in this.
Yes.
And I was convinced that this man took a gig as a clown so that he could spy on the Barclays to offer them this job. And that is not what happened, and it is such a bummer.
I mean, he went to a lot of effort to come down here. I feel like him getting a job wouldn't have been that much of a stretch.
Right. But I was thinking oh, this man actually became the clown. The clown at Burger World has been spying on them. And in fact, no, it is just a guy who sounds like the clown at Burger World who has been spying on them.
Yeah, I had the thought that he had come in as, dressed as a clown to the clown restaurant, or he was, the celebrity that wasn't always there.
Right, he was impersonating Mr. Clown.
Yeah, essentially.
The clown's name is Mr. Clown. Just, try.
Yeah. I mean, with all these name drops, you could have gone with Clive the Clown or something like that. Like, you could have done anything.
Yeah. Ronald McBurgworld.
Yeah. So, Ellis has followed them from Pokenberry Falls to Burger World to give a sales pitch, essentially, which he does later, for George Barkley to be the pastor at this church in Pokenberry Falls.
Yeah.
What is it?
First Church of Pokenberry Falls.
Yes.
He's the representative for them. He wants George to be the pastor. He decided to stalk I guess he went to the graduation and then decided to stalk him and his family to Burger World and sit in like the booth behind them and just listen in on all the conversation and then pop in at the right time.
Is this what people did before the internet? Because that's a lot scarier than just I don't know, checking their Instagram or something.
Well, he had previously sent them a postcard, which they ignored, thinking it was junk mail.
Because it was from somebody they did not know with zero explanation.
Right. So George invites him back to the house. Mm-hmm. We should point out that
he's wearing a fishing hat,
yes.
I would like to say, with lots of hooks and lures in them.
Yep.
That is fleshed out by Jimmy, thankfully.
Yes.
And very suiting. His New England.
Right. And his family just in general is not, George's family is not super into this guy. Like, we don't get good vibes from him.
No. Well, especially because it's coming off the tail of literally like the storybook ending, which is him becoming the pastor in the church that his kids grew up in, and he's invested so much in this town. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Also, what happened to Reverend Pastor?
He died, apparently. I don't know.
Dude, what happened? Is the man dead? Did he just decide, I need to step out of ministry because, I'm not doing great?
It wouldn't have been that hard to throw it in.
What happened? I know the man doesn't have a name, but you could at least do us the courtesy of saying what happened to him.
Yeah. Well, considering he had a heart attack. Yeah. I just wanted to take some time off and be with his family. My guess is that's the route that Odyssey would take.
Yeah, probably. Now, maybe the man lost his faith.
Oof. I mean, sometimes when you step beyond the curtain, you don't like what you see. That sounded very focus of me.
No, it didn't. It sounded like you were referencing like a Western.
A Western about dying and what you see on the other side of death?
Have you watched The Ballad of Buster Scruggs?
No, actually.
You should.
Is that what it's about?
It is a series of 6 short films all about death in the Old West. Directed by the Coen brothers.
Wow, that sounds delightful. Okay.
And streaming on Netflix. There's my plug this episode.
There you go. And my plug is Dylan's plug.
So then they go back to the house. Ellis is like, we haven't had a full-time pastor in over 2 years. We found out about you through a cousin of someone who lives at someone who goes to the church has a cousin in Connellsville who saw you preach one week, and you're the last person on our list, so we decided we'd reach out to you.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's a stretch, but at least they explain it, kind of.
Yeah.
And it fits Ellis's character to be kind of long-winded and rambly and anxious in how he over-explains things.
Yeah.
So it's not bad.
He's very cagey the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh.
Because he's trying, he pulls out a bunch of postcards to show them pictures of the place, and they're black and white pictures from the 50s.
Yeah.
And the family's kind
very
of clicky
Radiator
about it.
Springs.
Yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. This town used to be awesome, and then they built an interstate, and nobody came here anymore.
You just nailed it. Wow. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
No analogy is ever going to get better than that.
It's Radiator Springs, but if one company came in and took over all of it.
Right.
Because that is
It's
the
Radiator
other big...
Springs if like Dynaco took... No, wait. No, it's not Dynaco. By and large is what I'm going for.
By and large?
By and large is the massive corporation from Wall-E that just owns everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Love Wall-E. What a film. Poof. That'd be... I think more people should watch Wall-E. That's my plug for the episode.
Amen to that. So yeah, he's talking up this place, and they're like, "Oh, is it that? Why are all the cars from the 50s?" And he's like, "Oh, these pictures are kind of old." And they're like, "Oh, is the town actually in color?"
Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, did you upgrade to color from black and white or whatever?" Because Jimmy's riffing on it.
Yes.
Jimmy's jokes are actually really funny.
Yep,
I feel
we've talked about that a few times now, but yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Ellis is like, "Oh yeah, well, like I'll fly you out to Pokenberry Falls. Like we can go next week. I've got the, I've got the company plane from Barry Lionel, who owns the town.
Fancy guy name Lionel.
Yes, Barry Lionel. It doesn't get more like
Pretentious.
oil money
yeah,
than
yeah,
that.
yeah. So for like, what is it? Penny Moneybags or whatever. What's the Monopoly man's name?
Oh yeah, what is the monopoly? It's like
something
Archibald Moneybags.
Yeah,
or
I
something.
think it's like that.
real much. Yeah.
No, Penny Moneybags is that's some new Odyssey stuff where Penny gets a part of like a Young Living pyramid scheme.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it past her.
So hate on Young Living. Well, I mean a little hate on pyramid schemes.
Yeah, pyramid schemes, thumbs down. Yeah. So he's like, okay, yeah, we can fly you out. I'll stick around here if you guys want to take some time to decide. No thing. We pay
whenever you
want to
go,
trip.
we'll go.
Yep. And as they're walking out, George is asking him questions, and he's like, what denomination is the church? And you just hear Ellis very quietly say, oh, well, that's kind of up to the pastor.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah. That was really funny.
It also, I keep stumbling over this, but his name is Ellis Birch. Mm-hmm. Elliot Birch is Nick's dad in Big Mouth.
Yes.
It is 2 letters different, and I keep making that mistake.
Wow. That is a powerful... I really hope he does... Elliot Birch is quite the character.
So is Ellis Birch.
Yeah, that's fair.
Very different characters, but characters nonetheless. So yeah, and then we've got this conversation with the family where Donna's just like digging her heels and is like, why are we even teasing about this?
Yeah.
Like, why is George even entertaining this? Like, we're not doing this. He's already got the perfect job here. Like, he's leading this man on. What's up with that? And Jimmy's like, I don't know. I kind of want to go. Like, it would be fun to like ride in a rich man's plane. Like, yeah, Jimmy's such a kid. Donna's such a teen. It's really, really well fleshed out. Yeah.
Well, and considering that, like, there's a lot of times where those lines are blurred, but the importance of like the age difference between them is so important later in the episode when it comes to like Amy and everything. That it's really cool that they can establish that early on.
Yeah. And Mary has like a very neutral position, which I can appreciate, where she's like, look, I don't want to rule this out.
Yeah.
But like, she's not like gung-ho about it, nor is she like digging in her heels.
Why would she? She just had a kid. Like, and they're, like we said, there's like...
Right, she's not gung-ho, but she's also not like outwardly upset by the idea, which I appreciate. That she's just taking neutral and sounding it out and taking it like an adult.
Yeah. Give Mary more to do, please.
And then and you hear Donna just being like, yeah, there's absolutely no reason to go to we're not gonna go to Pokenberry Falls. Cut to wrong.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's George is defending it, saying that
is modesty is the best policy the other one that has George saying wrong like that?
Wrong. Yeah.
I think that's in
Yeah, I
like the
think it is.
teaser
Yeah,
from
and
Odyssey is the best policy.
Yeah. I believe you are correct. Please,
Is this
audience,
his catchphrase? Does this recur?
Well, I mean, when you're the supreme authority in a household and you don't really have to submit to anybody, you can just say stuff like, you're wrong, and not have to explain yourself.
He does explain himself.
Oh,
here,
no,
at
he
least.
does.
Like, it's, yeah. But it is also very
Wrong.
much just kind of like, we're going. Like, yep. So yeah, they're going to leave on Tuesday. Alice is going to stick around until then. Connie and June are taking care of Stuart, which is nice.
Yeah. It is
And
cute.
George kind of explains himself a bit, where he's like, look,
Are you not supposed to take babies on planes? Is that, like, bad for the baby?
I think you can take
Especially
babies
he's
on
over a
planes. I
year-
think,
yeah,
I think it's
Balin
bad
went.
for the plane, but they just don't want to be dragging around a very young child for
that's fair.
this vacation like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what the Johnsons are taking care of.
My family's weird because my sister took my nephew to South Africa when he was like a year and a half.
I know, I was there. The Johnsons are taking care of Normal.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, George just gets to explain himself a bit here, where he's like, look, this is like the only church in Pokenberry, which like is compelling. Like,
Yeah, it's significant that like that's a pretty big deal in this argument, because I think what ultimately ends up like swaying them is the position of being able to shed some good and be really the only light.
Odyssey is already a perfect Christian town,
Yeah.
especially now that they've gotten rid of Dr. Regis Blackard.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and Pastor Reverend finally kicked it.
like they have multiple churches. If they don't, like, if George doesn't take it, there's a million people who could step up and take his place. Like, this is, yeah, I don't know. And he's just like, it's like, it's not, like, doing the obvious thing isn't always doing the right thing, is what he says. And then it's also just like, there's a no downside to us going. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We give it
it's
an
not,
opportunity.
It's not going to cost us anything. We can go out there for a couple days. You know, everyone's able to get off work. We can arrange care for people. And yeah, let's just go.
And so they get on the plane, and the plane is not what they think it is.
6-passenger Cessna.
Yeah, it is apparently not great. And we get this conversation between Ellis and George, where kind of Ellis is explaining a little bit about his character, and he gives this big fancy title for what his actual job is, but he's Lionel's gopher. And it's kind of funny because, he's voiced by this larger-than-life kind of character, and...
This larger-than-life character who played Gopher.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Wonderful. Even more jokes. Wow, this episode is rich. We could just keep digging.
I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, it's okay. That was worth it.
You set that up too well. Anyways, continue.
I don't think I can.
He's being played by this larger-than-life character.
Oh no, I just think that it's cool because it fits this like Odyssey. Pokenberry doesn't feel like a real place in the way that it's described, because it's this super vague thing that's not actually real and everything, and Ellis represents that really well. And so
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, so they get to the place, land at the resort. The resort is very impressive, but then they kind of drive around the town to get to the Birch's house, where we have an amazing scene of Ellis introducing his wife Vivian, and also his granddaughter Amy, who after a lot of yelling comes out.
Yep.
And Donna interrupts to fill Stuart in on what's going on here.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Oh yeah, because they're like glossing over, and Donna's like, we can agree that Amy is really beautiful, like one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen. And Mary chimes in and is like, yeah, to which I'm like, wow, Interesting. Okay.
Well, and George says something about it too. Like,
Does he?
yes.
Okay.
They all chime in to talk about how beautiful
This
Amy is.
16-year-old is.
Yeah.
That's not uncomfortable at all.
Is she 16 or 17? She's less than 18 because she talks about, like, as soon as I'll turn 18, I'm moving away. She can drive, so she's at least 16.
Yeah, my
But
guess is 16.
Okay.
But maybe that's just because I'm negatively predisposed towards 16-year-olds in general. Sorry, I just think it's a bad year.
And so, yeah. So, anyway, so Donna interrupts to tell Stuart, like, so you gotta understand what's about to happen. Like, she's very attractive, and so Jimmy has to, like, and that explains why Jimmy, like, stumbles over himself here.
No, yeah, he goes to introduce himself, and his tongue essentially falls out of his mouth. Yes. He's just like, da, 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 da.
I believe he says, measure to pleat you?
Yeah. It's my measure to... And George chimes in, he's like, steady, son. And
then Ellis is like, oh yeah, she tends to have that effect on boys. And I'm just like, man, this is like...
This girl, like...
I don't know. How hot is she?
He grew up with sisters, and she's presumably the same age as Donna. Like, I get it, you come from the middle of nowhere, but like...
This is the middler of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's not from here, so I guess that means she's also hot.
Have you ever had one of those, like, cartoon, this person is so attractive I just lose myself over it moments?
No.
Yeah, I haven't either.
No, I don't know. I always just accredit it to, like, I'm a goofball all the time. So if I lose my composure, that's just kind of me being me. So
yeah, I mean that's fair.
that's always been my approach. But granted, my success with women hasn't been great. I mean, I've well.
So what you're saying, like, a relationship can't actually be good unless unless your mouth falls apart when you look at them.
I guess the only way to find out is to find somebody like that.
Okay. Chuck Squad, I'll put it up to you guys. Find Andrew his Amy.
Yeah. Find somebody.
Hashtag
so hot my tongue
find
falls
Andrew's
out of my...
Amy.
Find it. Going on Twitter.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Dylan have an Amy? Dylan could have an Amy too.
No, this is a specifically Andrew thing.
That's fair.
Also, I would like to point out a problem that I feel in casting Amy. She sounds too much like Donna.
Yeah, that's fair. What serves to benefit my attraction to Donna, though.
It just feels like a misstep when she speaks initially.
Yeah,
it could just be Donna.
Yeah, no, that's fair. There's no. I mean, New England accents are pretty thick. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and she moved there recently, but
yeah.
It was first that, like, the first time listening through, I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of, like, she sounds very similar to Donna, but maybe she's just voices another character in Odyssey that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And then no.
This is
so
all
listening
she's done.
through the second time, I was like, oh no, this is it. They just cast someone who sounds a lot like Donna.
Yeah, this person's claim to fame is being like the hottest woman in the Odyssey universe.
Right. Yeah.
In the Christian conservative universe, which means she's probably wearing like a tube top that didn't cover her belly button.
But Andrew, was the belly button pierced?
Well, events of the later events in this episode would lead me to believe that she does worship Satan, and that is the mark of the beast. So,
really, I thought that was septum piercings.
The bull joke. I swear I don't worship Satan. I just listened to that one Mountain Goat song ironically.
All right.
That joke for nobody.
for the John Greens listening.
Could you imagine?
No. So they're then explaining that Vivian explains that that the Barclays are actually going to stay there with them. Mm-hmm. Donna can sleep in Amy's room, Jimmy on the couch, and Mary and George get the guest room, which is a very clean working out of where people can stay. It's great.
And a very I don't know what kind of person goes immediately into that analytical way of thinking as far as like, where's everybody going to stay? I know. We'll just explain it right away.
Yep, that would be me.
Yeah, me too, actually.
And so, yeah, this is because they haven't finished putting the pipes in the parsonage.
Yeah.
Because they were doing plumbing work, and then it's like, no, it's the pipes. They're not in yet. And then Donna's like, wait, it doesn't have plumbing? And Elliot's like, and Ellis is like, they have plumbing, we just took it out.
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm like,
part of the remodel. Okay.
Is that supposed to be a lie or a joke?
My thing was, this parsonage was in such terrible shape that, like, it was probably just a repurposed old building, so there was like, if it functioned before, it wasn't good.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and the other thing we should note is, so the reason that the granddaughter Amy is with them is because both her parents died in a car crash. Something that is just said real quick.
Yep.
Because we just needed an explanation.
Yeah, this episode is full of strangely specific stuff, like the model of her car.
Yeah. Well, I've got a note about that. But so I think the reason, I don't know. I think it's this classic trope of in like Odyssey and other conservative media, and just like, it's just the thing of like, if there is a girl who is acting out, her parents can't be good people.
Yeah.
So like we see later with Erica.
Yeah.
Where like her dad sucks.
Yeah.
And that's why she sucks. And so if you have someone who is, an influential person in the church who is good, they can't have a rebellious daughter. We talked about this with Preacher's Kid. Mm-hmm. So they do the sidestep where they're like, this isn't their daughter. Mm-hmm. This is their granddaughter. That's how we can get away with the fact that she is rebellious and not have to hold them accountable for it. Huh. It is like, it's a trope that comes up a lot. And so I just wanted to draw attention to it here of like,
yeah, that's really an unfortunate excuse that just like not acknowledging the complexities of mental health, and instead we're just like, oh, yeah, her parents are dead.
Right. Well, right. It's giving her a reason to act out, but it's also getting them off the hook as though they would be, held responsible and like shamed for raising a daughter who acts out.
Yeah, because
because that means that they're not good parents, and if they're not good parents, they shouldn't be like high members of this church or whatever. And it's just this it's this thing, right? But like it sucks, but it is kind of the reality of what we're dealing with here, and like the way it's going to be portrayed. Yeah, of like, obviously we're not like, my stance is not like, oh, if this was their daughter and she was acting out, you're right, they shouldn't be in the church, and these people would be horrible. Like, no, you can have like a...
Well, didn't they just do that? Didn't they literally just do that in the episode where...
Preacher's Kid?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where George defends Donna being not perfect.
Correct. And that is the point that's the thing I'm pointing out here, is that like...
Dare we use the H word? Hypocrisy.
Even like a year ago in the show, they addressed this in like, we don't need to have, like, our people don't have to be perfect in order to be pastors' children, which was written from a really good place, and we loved that episode and what it had to say. Yeah. The problem is like now we're back on just kind of the default lane for conservative media,
which is
and so it's just like this is the thing you default to.
Yeah.
Like it's the nobody made a choice. They just went, "Oh, she's going to be the grandkid to explain why she's this messed up."
Yep.
Without bothering to think about it complexly and think about the greater implications that leads to and what it means to be like doubling down on that trope. They were just like, "Oh, this is how like we reconcile this quickly and efficiently." And what it actually results in is just this quick line about like, "Oh yeah, her parents are dead.
Yeah.
This is our granddaughter." And it's... And
well, the thing
I
is
don't
it's
super
a sales
remember...
Pitch. It's all the sales pitch.
Right. And I don't super remember the next episode in
Me
detail.
neither.
Like, there's a chance that maybe the death of Amy's parents is explored a little bit.
Mm.
And I would love if we could come back next and be like, okay, like there was a little bit more purpose than that. Mm-hmm. But at least with the context of this episode, it just feels like the trope of we have to show that these people are good even though their child is not.
Yeah.
So we're going to distance them from her.
Yeah.
So
Just
rather
bad
than...
for the parents and the child.
Right. And there's also an element of like maybe they wanted Ellis and Vivian to be older. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know. It feels like the reason Amy's not their kid is that so she can act out without there being repercussions against them. And that sucks.
Yeah, it really does. Also well said.
Thank you. So then Ellis reveals like, oh, he's got this full itinerary.
Yeah.
George will get to meet the deacons on Wednesday, which should be tomorrow, and then preach at their Wednesday service. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm going to take you guys all around to show the town. And Amy jumps in and she's like, well, why don't I show Jimmy and Donna around?
Yeah.
And Ellis and Vivian are like, oh, no, absolutely not. And George is like, actually, no, that'd probably be good for them to like go around with someone their own age. And yeah.
Yeah, and we get this really cool, well, before this, we get the joke about, what is it, Ellis's model teeth collection?
It's actually like right here.
Yeah.
So they jump out of it back to the modern day just to like fill in a little bit and talk about like how eccentric these people are. And, you know, Ellis has a model collection. They were model teeth. Well, his father was a dentist. Like, it's just this funny thing. And Donna says like, it felt like we entered the Twilight Zone, which is fun nod. Also, I don't know if you have this problem, but now in normal conversation, when I try to say Twilight Zone, I say Twilight like 9 times out of 10, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, no. Either that or I always make the conscious choice to add the GHT and drop the FE.
Right, it's one of those things where you have to, like, think about it, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean...
If that's the worst outcome of this show, I think we're doing fine.
Henny the Chicken was such a great joke.
Mm-hmm. So
they're talking about going downtown.
Yeah, well, so we then follow along with Ellis, who takes them first to the resort, and then like George is like, yeah, like this is cool and whatever, like it's really nice, but like we'd like to actually see the downtown, and I was just like, oh boy, like no thanks.
No, oh that's not gonna be good looking. Why don't we show you some other stuff?
Yeah, and then they finally get it to happen, and they jump out of it to be like, yeah, we could tell like why he was so resistant. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad that like they're picking up on all the weird signals he's dropping, because it is one of those things where it's like I can't tell if this is something
obvious.
Right, I can't tell if this is something that we are as the audience are supposed to notice, but like the characters in the show don't. And they're aware of it too,
which is good.
And so Mary says, like, you know, the town died and the Lionel Resort lived on, a castle on the edge of a wrecked village. And George is like, well put, Mary. And she's like, thanks, I was practicing.
Yeah, it was such a great line. And honestly, it's very interesting. Like, the town dynamic is very interesting, because this one guy that has a ton of power over everything. Like, he has this massive resort that is, you know, frequented by rich people who are wanting to escape like escape their city jobs or whatever.
And big bands play there.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if that was big bands, as in the genre of music that is big band.
Yeah.
Or if that was large bands, as in
Probably
popular
both.
ones.
My guess is if it was big in the 50s, big bands did originally play there.
I know. That's the thing. I was like, is this
And
gonna be
then
one
Green
of those?
Day went there one time.
Well, is this gonna be one of those things where like Ellis is trying to talk it up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, big bands play there," and it's like just there's like a local band that's a big band, and they count that.
That would be hilarious.
I mean, it's,
Part 2. Please deliver us on that one.
So they're driving through town, and George points out in a moment that I absolutely hate, talking about like the disheveledness of the town. He's like, "There's a lot of signs for the unemployment and the social service office," and I'm like, "Whoa, George! Remember 2 years ago?
Yep. When you were there.
You remember 2 years ago when you went to the unemployment office in an episode we didn't cover, and maybe we should have? You remember that, George?
Yeah.
You remember?"
I don't think he does. You think you're better than everybody, huh? Like, because you flew here on a plane?
I was just like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Whoa.
Also,
And it's-
what we talking about the social services with so much negativity? They're
Right.
so important.
Yeah, but it's the same thing like we talked about when we talked about The Visitors with Libby, where we're like, "Oh, look, this family is like the perfect homeless family."
Yeah.
And it's just that the kind of snottiness that conservatives have towards people who are in bad positions, where it's like,
Well,
we will
just
be
make better decisions.
right. Make better decisions. Do more work harder.
Yeah.
Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps.
There's no institutions that are predisposed to make things harder for you.
No, absolutely not. As Christians, we're only called to be charitable to those who, I guess no one, because everyone can just make it better themselves. All right, never mind.
Yep, we're good. Oh, thank goodness
Just
this thing isn't any more inconvenient.
Yeah. Only donate your money to mega churches. Focus on the family.
Yeah.
Those are the two options. Like, write your check out to Joel Osteen. Send it to Focus on the Family. There's
worry.
still time to get in your end of the year donations.
Yeah,
Like,
Joel Osteen will give it to the GOP for you.
Yeah, I got a Focus on the Family email that was like, "Hey, you can give us your tax deductible donations up until a certain date," and I was like, "Focus, I hate you so much right now.
Yeah.
Can we
Are
not?"
you peddling for money in the middle of a global pandemic?
I know.
That's fun.
Yeah. I mean,
I can't believe we still make this show with how much we don't like Focus on the Family.
yeah.
But that being said, we do love this show. And we do get a name drop of Darkness Before Dawn, which is funny.
I'm glad you noted that too.
Yeah, because was that the previous album or the one before it? Yeah.
Yep.
It was like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's truly the last album, and Ellis is like they're talking about like, oh, like Pokenberry Falls is gonna start like getting better. It's the darkness before the dawn for Pokenberry Falls, and I was like, all right, Ellis, we get it.
Roll credits. Yeah, no, we got, and he keeps bringing up the fact that there's 6 different new developments that are coming in and stuff like that. Like, that's the big trope that Ellis is holding on to for his sales pitch is like, stuff is gross now, but Lionel has all this money and people are going to be developing houses and stuff. Like, stuff will be happening.
Right. And so the majority of the townspeople work at a plastics factory.
Yep.
That makes like the cases for computers and also keycaps. As Amy will point out later. The tourist season is just kind of off and on, no real discernible point.
Yeah, no identify. They're like, oh, so when do the tourists come?
Is this the all? Because he's like, yeah, it's currently the off season, and George is like, oh, when's the on season?
No, there's really no identifiable time.
Yeah,
like, oh boy, that's what made me think Radiator Springs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they go visit the college. There's a small private school. Private? I don't know. They like to think it's Ivy League because it's got Ivy on it. I'm like, oof.
Because it's disheveled.
But there's like, it's 1,200 students roughly. There's
That's like roughly the size of LBC.
yeah, that's not a terribly small school.
Yeah.
They have the church sits on the church campus or on the college campus rather.
Yeah.
And is like that's where college chapel's being held. Mr. Lionel is very insistent upon, chapel.
Yeah.
And George is like, "Oh, who leads that?" And he's like, "Oh, you would if you took the job. Like that's part of it. Didn't I tell you?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite trope.
Yep. And they cut out to say like, and the church like really is beautiful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mary is talking about how genuinely pretty this church is, and like they're talking
It's
about
the
how
diamond
pretty,
in the rough.
Yeah, they're talking about the prettiness of the surrounding area, and like as somebody who really thinks that New England at certain times of year is beautiful, I have been to Boston in the fall, and it is delightful. So that kind of warmed my heart a little bit.
Yep. And then we cut away to Amy, who is taking Donna and Jimmy to the falls in her 70s Pinto.
No, 1997 Pinto.
No, 1970s Pinto.
Oh, I looked up the 97 Pinto and I was like, wow, that's a nice car.
So Pintos in the 70s. This is a car being manufactured by Ford.
Yes.
They are.
My dad had a Pinto, I think.
So Pintos, famous for being lemons. So a car that breaks down. And their go-to feature was the fact that if they got rear-ended, they could burst into flames.
Yes. Yes. And they're fun-looking cars, honestly.
They are.
I
nice.
love how they look. I've thought about buying a Pinto so many times. I mean, I don't have the money, but I fantasized many times.
Just don't get rear-ended, and you're good.
I mean, I've never been into a car accident from behind. It was just the one time, and it was front on. It was a telephone pole, so I would have been fine.
A one-sided telephone pole?
Yeah. It was more the right side. It was all the panels on the right side of the car.
So yeah, they go to the falls.
Yes.
Which is a pipe that pumps water into a cement tub.
Yep.
The real falls went away when they put in the factory.
The plastics factory.
Yep.
And
And then Donna and Jimmy are both like really thrown by that and bummed out. And then they're like, "Look, is there anything here?" And Amy's like, "No.
Yeah.
I'm stuck here until I turn 18 and then I'm getting away."
Yeah, she doesn't have a choice. She is my note is Amy is such a downer, a hot downer. And that's it's a really tough scene, especially for the kids, because they obviously came here with some amount of disillusionment of what it was going to be like because of what Ellis had told them, and kind of given them reason to hope.
Yeah, but it also should be pointed out, like, Jimmy is very much has an optimistic outlook on this, like, going into it.
Yeah.
Donna is looking for every excuse to hate the place.
Yeah. And so they found somebody that sounds exactly like her, and then it's just the voice inside her head telling her everything is actually wrong.
Yeah.
What the line is used, it looks like it's a pretty tombstone on a ton of graves, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this town is just dead. There's nothing good here. And, it might look nice sometimes, but it's just full of deadness.
Yep.
Which is really tough. And
yeah.
I feel like there are a lot of towns that I've been in that kind of resemble that. And it's an unfortunate reality.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Maybe we should plug the food bank again, Dylan.
I mean, it never hurts.
Yeah.
So we jump back to Mary and George and Alice and Vivian, and they're at the church. And they start to drive around to the front, and then Vivian's like, "Oh, we should turn away." And George is like, "No, like let's just go look."
Yeah.
And there's police lights on, and someone making a ruckus inside.
Yeah. Can you hear the yelling at this point? Of like, because you can hear the yelling and the breaking from outside the building later.
Yeah, it feels like a black veil.
Yeah.
Which is
Just a little bit.
same actor, which is just weird.
I guess the black veil sounds like this because this came first.
Correct. Maybe the black veil is an homage to this.
Aha!
Maybe
Is that the step below nod? An homage?
I mean, maybe Pete Renaday just really likes breaking stuff, and so they always pull him in for those scenes.
We need somebody to break something.
We need someone to yell and smash things. Oh, okay, I'll get Pete on the phone.
Yeah. He's always down for a good smashing.
So they reveal that, like, Owen has locked himself in, like, Ellis gets out, talks to the cops. Owen locked himself in the church and is throwing stuff. And Ellis is like, all right, well, I'll take care of it. You can go away. And he gets back in the car, and George is the biggest narc in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is.
He's so insistent about, like, why don't you just have the police handle this? This guy sounds like a madman. You sent the police away. What are you doing? And I'm like, they're doing this to force Ellis into the position of admitting that Owen is his brother.
Yeah.
But I also think any circumstance in which, like, it's a known entity and the people can handle it themselves without the police getting involved, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, especially if somebody's mentally unwell. That's actually I've heard something very interesting, that there are police forces being trained to de-escalate, especially for mentally handicapped people, like people with autism and stuff like that. Like, they have to handle the situation completely differently, which I think is very cool.
I agreed.
Need some of that in Pokenberry Falls, that's for darn sure.
Yeah, well, and it's just right. So it's this thing of, like, I don't know. It's a small town. Like, they all know each other. Like, it's weird that George is like, why are you sending the cops? Like, he's so on edge about it. I'm just like, buddy, like, you know, they've got it under. Like, I personally would trust Ellis if he said, I've got this under control, to, you know, have it under control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and Ellis, he seems calm, and the way that the cop talks to him, I was like, oh, clearly this is a reoccurring thing.
Yeah. And I guess George doesn't get that, but it is just funny how, like,
how negative he is
and how insistent.
Yeah, and is the where the scene ends is Owen or Ellis admitting that Owen is his brother?
Correct. He says, like, he's my brother. Like, he can't break stuff at his, like, he doesn't. He's not at his house anymore to break stuff, so he's here at the church or something. Yeah. And then they jump back to Amy and Jimmy and Donna, and are kind of talking back and forth, and Amy, you know, references her friends, you know.
Yeah.
One of them named Scotch. His real name's Kevin.
Yeah. So I was like, wow.
I wish I had a friend Kevin who I could just call Scotch and confuse him.
I don't know any Kevins. That name really must have died out.
Yeah, I think it did. So yeah, and then
they're talking
right. So
talking about
Donna's like, oh, do those kids like go to the church? And she's like, no, none of the kids in Pokenberry go to church.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy's like, oh, you know, is Scotch your boyfriend? And she's like, no, I would never date anyone from this town. And Jimmy's like, oh. Jimmy's initially just like happy she's not dating, and then is like, oh shoot, if she won't date anyone from the town and she'll only date me if I'm living in this town, she's not gonna date me. Ah, shoot.
Have you ever been there, Dylan? Has that ever happened to you?
The catch-22 of I'll only be with her if I'm in the same town and she won't date anyone in her town? Yeah. No.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Does that happen to you, Andrew? Wait, it's unfortunate that it hasn't happened to me?
Yeah. I would say that
I'm missing out.
It's a summer camp thing.
Ah.
Yeah.
See, I never had a summer camp romance.
Oh, I've had too many.
I mean, that surprises literally no one.
Nope.
So yeah, and then yeah, there's that. There's also just then Donna jumping in again to be like, "You're so attractive," and I'm like, "All right, Odyssey,
we're just gonna say this
I'll
again.
Ship it.
We're just gonna." Yeah, I ship it hard. We go Damie. We go Damie this time.
Jimmy like doubles down and is like, yeah, you could be like a model. And I'm like, all right, Jimmy, chill.
Keep it in your pants. Come on. Come on. Get yourself together. Come on.
And then Amy's like, well, let's have a good time, and whips out a bottle of alcohol.
Presumably scotch, but
I mean, possibly.
we don't know.
Headcanon is that her not boyfriend Kevin, who goes by Scotch, buys them scotch.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't
a different kind of plug. But
What?
yeah, plug is slang for like somebody who buys you alcohol or drugs.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
No, fair. Well done. Way to know the street lingo, Andrew.
Yeah, that's what I'm good for.
Uh-huh. Whereas I don't break the law.
I feel like I know for a fact that is not true.
I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, and then just as things start to get good, George interrupts and says that they are out of tape.
Yep. Classic.
And Jimmy's like, just when it was getting good.
Yeah.
And I love it as this little framing device. It's a clean way to end
it's
the
such
episode.
a good way. And it's perfect to end a two-part. Or like
exactly.
middle of a two-parter.
Right, because everyone listening is having that same
Yeah.
response. Like, it's Jimmy gets to be the audience surrogate in a way that's really fun. In a way that, like, Chris sometimes is in the outro, but this time we get it to be Jimmy. Mm-hmm. Any other, I don't know, anything else we want to hit on from this episode? Just general thoughts and feelings?
I liked it. I think it's interesting, the kind of world building that they're doing. Writing off these characters is really cool. But also hard, because it's kind of a dissatisfying ending for me as far as what I would have chosen. But I'm curious to see.
You'd
how
rather just have them like fade into obscurity.
Yeah,
than,
yeah.
Like,
I mean,
I like that it has a firm conclusion. We don't get that with other characters in Odyssey.
oh yeah, no.
They're
That's why I'm
unique in
thinking
that.
that it would be better if they just made it all uniform. But it's also cool that
like
they
like
do
if
this.
they had characters who faded out and then popped in from time to time, it would be one thing. But the fact that everyone just has a hard out,
Yeah.
then I'm happy that the like Jack just stopped showing up in episodes and it's never addressed. Or like same thing with Lucy. Like any of those characters, they just like eventually age out of it, and it's not like they're ever acknowledged as still being around the town. Like they're just gone. There are new kids now. And so I like that with Donna and Jimmy and the Barkley family, like they actually give them an out.
Yeah, well, they
Because-
invested so much in their family dynamic.
Right. Well, and it's also the thing of like they're a family. So even though the reason, and this is in the official guide and also like obvious if you listen to the show, but like the target demographic for Adventures in Odyssey is like 8 to 12. So if they are going to like once the kids start being teenagers and having teenage problems, they write them off. But all of the prominent adults get to stick around because
Their voices don't change.
because they don't have to grow up. Like they're
Yeah.
essentially the same person continually. And so you would have this weird thing of like, we no longer want to tell stories about, Donna and Jimmy, but George and Mary are still big characters in the town. George
Yeah.
especially. So they really have to like, he's the one character who has kids and his own stories.
So, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Like later we get Ed, and they do a similar thing with the Washingtons of kind of bringing their story to a close.
Yeah, by moving them to Connellsville, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like we get like that just is it makes sense. It's the like I don't know.
It's cool. It's interesting how they make these people more increasingly human, and that in some ways takes away from the show because the show itself is not really set up that way. But it is very beneficial for these characters and like for the audience because this is the first family. Like this is really cool. Going all the way back to album 2. I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to part 2 and for the Pokenberry Christmas episodes because I don't really remember those at all. So this is going to be it's been a fun series so far. I've had a lot of enjoyment in it, and I'm excited to see how it concludes.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add?
I don't. So yeah, that's yeah. I mean that's where I'll leave it. Anything you're plugging at all?
Do you want to plug the food bank?
Yeah, we'll put we did this I think back with the visitors. We'll do it again here just as we touch on themes throughout this episode, but I'll put a link in the show notes for just like the National Directory of Food Banks or whatever it is, and kind of find the place near to you and donate if you can. And yeah.
It's wintertime. There's a lot of needs. It's cold, and canned goods and stuff like that, especially with COVID, they go a long way. I've tried to participate in the past in what little ways I can. But yeah, every little bit helps. So
yeah.
Do it for the pod.
Mm-hmm. And now for some shameless self-promotion.
Yeah!
We have 2 new reviews that I'd like to read. Both 5 stars, coming from Paper and Pencil, who writes, great podcast. I love hearing other opinions about Odyssey. The podcast is great entertainment and conversation for anyone who's familiar with AIO.
Oh, thanks, guy.
Thanks, Paper and Pencil. And then we also have one from Oddhayer Fan, who says, good podcast. Just makes me happy.
It was pointless. I loved it.
Yeah. And if you would like to leave us a review, if you do it on Apple Podcasts in the US or Canada, we will see it. If you do it elsewhere, just tweet at us or DM us on Instagram or send us an email or something so that we know where that review is, so that we can read it off and talk about it here on the podcast. It makes our lives brighter, and we'd love to shout it out.
Yeah. Very much appreciative.
Yeah. And then other shameless promo here at the end. As always, the merch store is in full force. But I wanted to point out a fun thing that if any of you guys are ambitious, you can go for. So we recently got our TeePublic status upgraded from user to affiliate.
Hey.
And so one of the fun things with that is that we can feature other people's designs in our store.
Oh.
So if you do Adventures in Odyssey or Wad Fam Chalk Pod related artwork and upload it to TeePublic and put it on products, contact us in one of those ways and we will put it up for sale if we like the design, and we probably will. We've got low standards.
Yeah.
We'll put it up for sale in our store so that you can get a little bit more eyeballs on that.
Yeah, that's fun. Just another way that we can work together and make this space a little bit more fun.
Right, exactly. We're trying to be a community here.
Yeah.
We don't just want it to be Andrew and I preaching down from on high, because nobody wants that.
No, and I don't feel for particularly high currently. So,
all right. So with all that being said, we're going to be back next week to talk about episode 341, Pokenberry Falls RFD Part 2.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Wadfam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or focus on the family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at wadfamchalkpod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Pokenberry Falls RFD Part 1 was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Sabo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.